Reality check number 2. Be so for real, let it go.
Welcome to Reality Check, a podcast where your hosts Nabia
and Liba
cover the socio-psychological perspectives of our world.
We discuss the things that influence how we interact, behave, and connect. We ask the questions people overlook, from covering identity, culture, relationships, norms, and the hidden scripts we follow.
Reality Check is your space to reflect, laugh, and see the world and yourself a little differently. Okay.
Welcome back.
Welcome back. Thank you for all the love on our first trailer episode.
Oh my goodness.
I don't even know if we were expecting that many
people. I can speak for myself. I definitely wasn't. But seeing all the messages and people saying like it was just like such a nice experience to like listen to us talk.
Oh my god.
Oh my gosh.
Like thank you.
Thank you
so much. Yeah.
It means the world to us.
It really does. We really were like honest about when we said we just want like one person to take something nice out of it. And the fact that happened is we're so grateful for
like,
that.
100%. Yeah. The support was genuinely overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so nice.
It was really, really
and
nice.
And it like motivated us so much.
So motivated us to start today's episode, which is...
Yeah. Letting go.
Let it go.
Let that go. So, to start this episode off, the love from Instagram, obviously, it was so nice, and I decided to post a poll on Instagram because we wanted to include you guys in our episode. So I posted a poll a few days ago, just some questions related to our episode topic, and the first question was, when something bothers you, what do you do? And 64% of our audience said overthink for the next 3 to 5 business days. And can I just say, relatable?
Which is so real.
Too real.
Mm-hmm.
The next poll was, what helps you the most with letting go? 62% of our audience said faith, Bean, which is, that says a lot about who our audience is, which is nice, Even if that's not what helps you specifically, that's still, a version. The other options were giving it time, talking it out. There was one that said nothing, I hold on forever, and no one did that one. That's a lie.
That's a lie.
What do you mean?
We know at least one.
Me. It's me. And then the third one was, what's hardest for you to let go of? 58% of our audience said the need to be in control. That, I really thought that one, I had no
clue that would be like...
Who? Really?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I thought what's hardest for you to let go of, most people would say like past mistakes or people's opinions, but...
Really?
Yeah, I didn't know it would be the need to be in control.
I really relate to that one.
Really? We'll talk about that then.
We'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
And then the last poll was, what's worst about letting people do what they want? It was all of the above, because the options I gave were not taking it personally, not trying to fix it, not overthinking anyone's actions. And yeah, I would say all of the above as well.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I would say that too.
I think we'll probably talk about this later, but letting people do what they want, when you hold on to that, it really is just like, why did they do that? What does it have to do with me? Mm-hmm. Especially if you think even a bit positively about that person, it's like, well, why would you have done something negative to me?
You can torture yourself with that. And I think it's because we think about, and we'll talk about this later, but we think about like, oh, I would never do this to someone. Mm-hmm. How could they do that to someone? Because I see them in the same light that I view myself.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Part 1. We are taught to hold on.
So we definitely live in a culture where overthinking is almost expected of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, people talk about it like it's something that actually defines you as a person. It's a personality trait, a sign that you almost have like depth to who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to get canceled for saying this, and this is myself included, like 100% myself included, but people almost wear the suffering that they have from overthinking like it's a badge of honor.
That's with a lot of things, though. I feel like human connection with negative experiences, where it's almost, when probably in university, where it's kind of a competition about who got the least amount of sleep. Mm-hmm. And it's like, if you're like, oh, I actually got 8 hours of sleep, you're seen as like
no, I got 3 hours.
Yeah, and I got 3 hours. I didn't even sleep at all.
Yeah. And like, what sleep?
Yeah, and then I'm sitting there like, I got 8. Like, you seem like a loser for not being part of like the norm. So you're right in the sense where it's like a badge of honor, where if you're not overthinking, what the hell, like, your life is set.
Literally, like, it's like a collective identity around suffering and holding on to these negative things that don't actually serve you.
Based on our generation, I also had a point to say where, especially growing up before the age of positive social media, so things like body positivity, affirmations, and all those things, like I can speak for myself and I can speak for I think a lot of people from Gen Z and older Gen Z specifically, and millennials and everyone before grew up with a heavy negative bias of the world. For example, you were compared, like young girls being compared to Victoria's Secret models who were starving themselves.
Yep.
Or little boys being compared to grown men and having to see like those types of scenarios. And if you weren't sickly thin,
oh yeah,
you weren't like, you were bullied for it.
100%.
So now I feel like it's a lot different with these affirmations, and you know, people really call out bullying now, and everybody's body is perfect the way it is.
It was our formative years that was happening to us.
Yeah.
And like you were saying, like it is literally all over our social media. You were saying, you know, like we've come far from where we've been, but I also kind of feel like we've almost maybe done a full circle.
Really?
Where, I feel like, because you're not on social media. You are like my mysterious friend.
For reference, if you're watching the first episode, I do not have any social media. Anything I know is through Liba, is through our friends, is through my younger siblings. The only social media that I use is YouTube and Pinterest.
And she actually is better than all of us.
It's true. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that you're gonna Liba's gonna be telling me a lot of these things. I'm learning as if you're learning. So
it's actually as if like you're talking to like an old person where you're like, no, I use 6-7 Rizzler. It's like, okay, you gotta skibidi literally. But yeah, I feel like with social media there is a surplus of bullying, and it actually creates community. This is kind of not really what our topic is on, but I think it's worth mentioning. There's things that are like lol cows on it. You're making a face at me where I know this is the first time you've ever experienced this.
Lol cows?
Okay, I don't really know how to explain it properly. Basically, a lol cow is internet slang. It's for someone that is kind of in a vulnerable position, like maybe like they're not fully cognitively aware of how they're being perceived, and they basically make this person famous through like harassing them.
So messed up.
There's a lot of different examples that I'm honestly not gonna mention, but
I think it does stay on the fact where it's like the negativity and like how those people also probably, if you are a lol cow, you probably hold on to like the mean things that people say to you. This episode really is just negative things that happen to you, negative things that people do that happen to you. It's really just holding on to those things where you're constantly thinking about. And we're going to be using the word ruminating a lot.
Yeah.
And I have a definition for ruminating, if you do not know. The definition of ruminating is repetitive dwelling and thinking of negative thoughts. So ruminating happens with a lot of major mental illnesses like depression, anxiety, obsessive compulsive disorder. But I think just living on social media and continuously being fed information, you can't not overthink about
you
things.
Can't. And going back to social media, I cannot tell you the amount of reposts that I come across where it's like, thought daughter. Yeah. I've never gotten over anything.
THOUG.
Yeah. Not THOT. I hope they know what I mean.
Yeah.
And
thinking daughter.
Thinking daughter, exactly. Yeah. It's all I see on social media. And it very much signals to other people like, hey, look at me. I have depth and all of the horrible things that have happened to me.
It's the depth aspect where it's like people want to seem
deeper than they are.
And you know, it doesn't have to be, if you take anything away from this episode, your depth does not have to be your negative experiences. They don't have to define you.
Yeah It's 100% like, I can use this pain as currency for this specific social norm and feel accepted by other people. That's definitely what I've noticed. Part 2. Why do we even hold on? My personal experience, I'm very much the type of person, and I hope someone else out there relates, I really do hold on to things. I am the type of person, if something is said to me, it genuinely sticks to me. I'm being vulnerable right now. That's crazy. It's hard for me to really separate that from my own identity. And I always thought that ruminating and going over a situation over and over and over again meant that I was actually working through it, when I feel like I was probably just making myself more miserable than I had to be. But also, in the same vein, I am the type of person that needs to talk through situations to get through them. Maybe this will help someone else. If you're a talkative person like me, there's not always someone that you can talk to for hours. My entire voice notes on my phone, I will literally like make vlogs and I will make voice notes and I will just talk it out. And this is gonna sound so, I don't know if this is gonna sound weird, but like, I love talking to myself and I find a lot of comfort in talking to myself because like I get it.
I talk to my wall.
Right? I'm schizophrenic in my house all the time. Yeah. There's definitely a difference between ruminating and working through a situation. I think those are two things that even myself, I have yet to fully define for myself. Honestly, the one thing that I really have trouble with is not everything in life has an answer. And I know that we were talking about this before, where it's like, I want to understand everything in its absolute entirety. Like, why did this person do this to me? Why did this situation happen to me? But not everything, and even in like a more spiritual Islamic lens, like, you're not actually meant to understand everything, and that is a blessing in and of itself.
So a lot of things have happened in my life where I feel now, and we're gonna say alhamdulillah, because,
and you know what,
alhamdulillah, and if you don't know what that means, it literally just means thanks to God.
It literally just means thank God, bro.
Thank God. There's a lot of things that happened in my life that got me to the point where now my mentality has switched to, like, if someone does something wrong to me, it's like, why did they do that? Where I'm like, just, it's fine. But before, I was never like that before. I want to preface that I was very much like, why did they do this?
Like the spiral, it consumed us.
Yeah, it consumed me. So I have a lot of experience by being dropped by people, and that I'm always really close with, and that I thought we were like best of friends, and we were, you know, we went through high school together and elementary school together, going to high school, and then some people I went to with university with. But they stop talking or they ghost me for no reason. And you struggle with the idea of, like, is there something wrong with me? Like, these people that I pour all my love into and all my friendship, and you can just, with the snap of your fingers, like, not talk to me anymore. And it's happened continuously. And I will touch on this, that your brain looks for patterns in your life experiences. So if these things keep happening over and over again, you're like, what is wrong with me?
Yeah, it's hard to not reflect that back onto yourself and think of yourself negatively.
Yeah, so it generally took years to unlearn that people just don't know how to be friends anymore, and people just don't have accountability, and that's okay on their part, but just because someone does something bad to you doesn't mean it has something to do with you.
100%.
I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I do have a lot of self-awareness, and I don't think it's my fault that a lot of things, I just really do think that people just don't know how
and you know what, I want to say, as you are not someone that uses social media, there is a big thing of, like, keeping people in your life by, like, having them on your Instagram, having them on your socials, and, like, acting like they're still in your life. You don't have that. Like, the only way to kind of reach out to you is through text or seeing you in person.
That's a really good point. Okay, when I was 14.
Oh God.
No, it's a good point, because you're right. When I was 14, think about this, 9 years ago, 14-year-old deletes Snapchat off her phone. I have never downloaded it again. The people that I thought were my friends, I think majority of the people that I would talk to completely fell off the face of the earth, because it wasn't convenient for them anymore to reach out through text. And I had their numbers. It's just because I wasn't on Snapchat anymore.
They actually had to put an effort.
They had to put an effort, and they didn't want to put an effort. Yeah. And that's fine, like, if you don't want to put an effort, but it was such a wake-up call of, like, oh my God, you're only my quote-unquote friend because it's convenient. But as soon as the convenience goes away, it's like, well,
they don't actually care.
They don't actually care.
They don't want to put an effort.
Growing up, when you're in such a vulnerable state of, like, your teenage years, how do you not take that as
personally?
You can't.
You're so young. You're not going to be like, oh, I have the complex thoughts of, like, this person.
You don't. Your brain is still developing. So I think the reason why a lot of people are shifting towards, like, letting things go is in your 20s. That's when you have the chance to reflect and be like, oh my God, the stuff that happened to me was so horrible. It was so bad. Like, that's so mean.
Yeah.
Holding on to those things makes sense because your brain's not developed. Of course. That's like you're learning. You're still learning about the world. Yeah. And your brain is still taking that as, like material
at face
to build.
Value.
Yeah, at face value and material to build your brain, literally, because that's what it's doing. For me, the mentality that I am at right now, alhamdulillah, is like a lot, thank God, is a lot better than before. But I think for me personally, it had a lot to do with faith. And like the Instagram polls, a lot of people said it had to do with faith. Yeah. So for me, I found a lot of the peace in my life has been letting go because I don't know everything, and that's okay. Yeah. That's okay. I don't know everything. That's actually the point. It's out of my hands.
An example that I think of, and I feel like we always talk about this, where, like, I remember back in school when I would, like, miss the bus, I would be like, you know what? If I got on that bus, it would have crashed and I would have died. Yeah. Like, that's actually my mentality. It's the whole thing of, like, like literally taking that bus example, if like you see your bus and you run for it and you miss it, that was never your bus.
That was never your bus.
It was never meant to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think from our personal experiences, holding on depends on what stage of life that you're on, but it's okay if you're still carrying the mentality of when you were younger, because your brain was developing at that time. Psychologically, your brain was developing at that time.
Yes.
And it's the material it got to build the connections that your brain has now, but it doesn't mean that you can always, or you always have to think like that.
Yes.
And we will talk about that. So we're touching on the sociological aspect of like genuine sociology research, and Liba found a really great article. I'm actually really excited to hear about it. I only saw a glimpse of it, but Liba, take it away.
All right, I'm so excited to dive in. So there was an article that I read, and it talks about what happens to our thoughts and our knee-jerk reactions when we resist them and kind of go away from the norm, and how discomfort can also lead to enlightenment. So the article is by Bernard McGrain. Thank you, Bernard.
Bernard?
Sorry. I'm just gonna imagine Bernard from Megamind.
Yeah, me too.
So it's called Zen Sociology. Don't just do something, stand there. And the central question that I believe that the article talks about is like, where does our society end and myself begin? How much of who I think I am actually comes from me, from my inner conscious awareness and my inner sources, and how much is actually from me being programmed by society, which we were just talking about. So Bernard McGrain gave his students an experiment. This experiment was that for 10 minutes, the students had to stand in an ordinary social setting and do nothing. Literally just nothing. They couldn't pretend that they were waiting for someone. They couldn't scroll. They couldn't even sit down. They had to do nothing. They were told to use their beginner's mind instead of expert's mind, and I'll explain what that is. Beginner's mind doesn't know anything advanced. It doesn't have any preconceived notions or judgments. It is open and hollow, and it is receptive to everything. And then expert's mind is obviously the opposite, where it does have preconceived notions. It does come in with its own judgments and knowledge and facts. So they had to sit and observe. They couldn't involve themselves in whatever societal norm was going on around them. If they were at like a coffee shop, they couldn't act like they were like, you know, waiting for coffee. Like they literally had to sit outside of that societal norm.
What was this like in a room where all the students were together, or they were just told like anywhere you are, use beginner's mind? Yeah,
they were like, the prof was like, okay, like next week you're gonna come back and tell me how you did. Like you can go outside in your yard. Went to like, some people like stood at like a bus stop. Some people like did whatever. I want to talk about Plato because the article talks about Plato. We love Plato. Plato describes human ignorance as conventional knowingness and as common sense. So he draws from his famous cave analogy, and I'll talk about that, where our human situation is as if we are in a very dark cave facing the wall, and we're chained to our environments, and there's a fire at our back. As objects pass the fire, they're gonna cast shadows on the wall, and we assume that the shadows are real because that's all we see. Whatever we think our perception is reality, like that's just what we're gonna believe. And if we were to somehow break the chains of our ignorance and turn towards the fire, we would be temporarily dazed. We would be like, oh my God, like it's too bright. You know, we wouldn't really be able to see properly for a minute because we aren't used to it. And if we exit the cave, the same thing, we're gonna be blinded by the light. So it would take times for our eyes to adjust and see reality. So one student said that she became immediately disturbed at feeling out of place. She was standing there and she was like, okay, I'm not supposed to be anything. I'm not supposed to be like, okay, I'm a student doing an experiment, or I'm a, you know, daughter or anything. Like you just kind of get rid of all of the labels that make up who you are, and you're just supposed to observe. And she felt like as if she should not exist. And it really made her think about how she defined herself. Another student found it extremely stupid that everyone around her appeared to have something to do, and the importance that they gave these tasks.
Whoa,
right?
That's a good one.
Yeah. Like you look around and you assume that everyone is so important. They realize like that they were so similar to these people, how they go with the flow of things instead of questioning these social norms. And another student, this one was actually very interesting. She got questioned by a security guard. I think she was standing outside of a shopping center or like a grocery store, and a security guard came up to her and he was like, what are you doing? And she wasn't supposed to reveal, oh, I'm a student, I'm doing an experiment, but she felt the urge to prove her worth and therefore her identity. And then she literally was like, oh, I'm just standing here. And then he made her leave. He was like, you can't loiter here, like you have to leave. And then she left obviously feeling worthless about herself, as if her identity had been stripped from her. And I chose this topic because these experiments taught the students to question how they ordinarily live in society and how they define themselves. It very much like shocks them into being aware, and in being unoccupied, they become desocialized and the machine stops, like the gears stop turning, and they're no longer participating in the world, but they're just observing it.
Mm-hmm.
And the students at first felt this knee-jerk desire to go back to the herd, to go back to the social norm, and to return to the thousands of stimuli that are programmed within us that we just respond to without knowing. And yeah, the students, going back to Plato's cave experiment or cave analogy, the students all experienced being blinded by the fire after looking at the shadows on the cave. Like, they broke the chains, they removed themselves from society and saw what was actually going on. And they were like, they felt uncomfortable and they felt like they didn't want to do that anymore. So all of this to say, letting go isn't just an emotional process, it actually is a social one. And it's releasing the roles and expectations that we are expected to perform.
Oh my God, yeah.
Right? And it's noticing how much of our identity is shaped by society and shaped by the people around us.
It's tied to people around
yes,
us. Yeah.
It's inherently, intrinsically tied to people instead of our own conscious awareness. And this is why you have to let people do whatever they want.
Yeah.
Because
No, I don't want to interrupt. It's not a bad thing to tie your identity to the people around you, because inherently we are a community, which sociology is also very much like community thinking, and your brain can't develop if you don't have community.
100%.
We have seen horrible cases of children that have been neglected so bad that they don't develop any skills at all. It's not to say that tying your identity to your society is a bad thing. It's when it over consumes you is the problem. But keep going.
No, you're exactly right, where it's knowing the difference between who you are and what society deems you to be. Yeah, that's basically what that source was.
That's really interesting. I was really excited for the article.
Me too.
I wanted to hear how that tied into letting things go, but that makes a lot of sense. As a summary from someone who didn't read the article, I would say that basically the premise of the article was to let things go, you have to put yourself out of yourself, basically, and see that people are just performing, and people are performing, and people have their own stuff going on, and that's fine. But to put yourself in a in an uncomfortable situation is something your brain doesn't want to do.
Yeah.
So, to tie it together, from a psychological perspective, I've read an article by Mark Travers. He's an American psychologist for Psychology Today. He wrote an article on 3 reasons why the brain loves negative thinking. So we have 2 types of bias that our brain has. We have a negative bias and a positive bias. And scientifically, I can't pull up an article right now. When you reach the end stages of your life, when you're a lot older, the reason why older people seem to just like not care and they're like grumpy or like they're okay with being that is because as you get older, you naturally start developing a positivity bias. Positivity bias is just the way that you view the world. Positivity bias meaning you have an inclination towards one thing over the other. So positivity bias literally meaning that you have an inclination to focus on positive things in your atmosphere, right?
Wow.
Negativity bias is you have an inclination towards focusing on negative things in your environment. So Mark Travers wrote this article where he's like, why does your brain love negative thinking? The first point being, your brain is evolved to prioritize negative thoughts. To summarize what he said, the way that our society has evolved was so much faster than evolution could keep up with, you know? Wow. So we're sitting, like, for context right now, we are sitting in Liba's air-conditioned basement. Like, it is hot outside. We're sitting in her air-conditioned basement.
Yeah. No, we're in our penthouse. We're in our penthouse.
Yeah.
No.
But air conditioning, like, go back, I don't know when it was invented, but go back like 100-something years. What is air conditioning, you know? Like, people would die from heat stroke.
Even in less developed countries, they don't have air conditioning right now.
Paris doesn't have air conditioning.
Can we actually just pause and talk about that for a second? Paris does not have air conditioning.
Paris has air conditioning in the big places, but Europe in general they don't have central AC yet.
Not until
until I get there.
Yeah. And I reconvene.
And I show them the way of life.
Yeah.
That's good.
I open their eyes.
Yeah. but your brain is wired for survival. And it was evolutionarily good to focus and have a preference for focusing on negative things in your environment, because if you missed something negative, or if you missed something that was harmful in your environment, that meant death or serious injury. So your lineage couldn't continue, your brain couldn't, your DNA dies there, because you weren't focusing on like, oh my god, there's a pretty butterfly, meanwhile there's a T-Rex behind you.
It was like a caveman sharpening a stick.
Circling back to today's time, holding on to negative thoughts and opinions from our environment is our brain having that strong effect of avoiding bad things happening in your future, which ties into Mark's second part, where it was negative thoughts try and prevent future events.
100%. Your
brain is incredibly analytical. It uses information that you have collected your entire life up until now. Like my brain is collecting information right now. Liba's brain is collecting information right now. Your brain, listening to this, is collecting this and is going to think about it, right?
Yeah.
Always collecting information, always collecting data. And so your brain is highly analytical, and it uses past experiences to guide your future behaviors and to avoid negative things happening to you again. Because tying into what you were talking about, Liba, your brain hates discomfort. It hates discomfort. It's so gross to it. It doesn't like it, which is why you're so inclined to fall into your habits, because it's familiar,
to just go with the
herd. It loves to live in comfort and familiarity, which ironically is also what kills your brain, because it doesn't have any new information coming in. Your brain loves new information, but it also loves sticking to its old patterns.
It loves routine.
So it goes hand in hand with point one, where it's prioritizing negative thoughts. And so if you've only ever had negative thoughts to look at, or you have that negativity bias towards looking and continuously looking for things to be mad about, that's what your brain's gonna...
You're gonna find... if you're... I'm gonna look for red cars. I'm only gonna see red cars.
Yeah. And to quote something from the article, direct quote, trying to prevent future events is because negative experiences activate more activity in the brain's information processing center, known as the amygdala, which prioritizes emotionally charged memories. And it is this mechanism that might be playing out in the background when you, for example, you forget 5 compliments but obsess over 1 critical compliment.
Oh my gosh, that's too real.
Yeah. So because your emotions are more tied to, someone might be like, you're so pretty, you're so this, you're so that, and like, oh my god, thank you. Yeah. I hate you. And you're like, what? Yeah. But all these people love me. Like, what? What do you mean? And then you can just continuously loop around and think about that over and over again, because it's just how your brain's designed.
It takes one weird comment of like, why does she look like that? Like,
and then you're like, what do you mean?
Like, what are you talking about? Everyone said the dress was ready.
Yeah. What the heck? Tying into the third point, which is negative thoughts create emotional feedback loops. You have these centers in your brain that work together. You have your amygdala doing emotional processing, your hippocampus, your hypothalamus is hormones, and hippocampus is your memory center, and your prefrontal cortex is decision making. They're all tied to each other. So
who would have thought?
So the summary of what Mark wrote was that negative thoughts create a stress response, which trigger your release of cortisol being technically the stress hormone. Mm-hmm. When your brain is in its fight or flight sense, it is way more susceptible to negative stimuli in our environment, including your negative thoughts. Tying back to your brain being wired to look for negative things. So if you're in a state of panic, you feel like your life is threatened, your brain is like, okay, what else in my environment is threatening me? You know?
Oh my god, I didn't think about the fact that it was like also internal negativity.
It's also internal negativity. Whoa. Because right now, literally, like, we're sitting in a basement, there's no external threat. But if my cortisol is heightened, what is the only negative thing right now?
Whoa.
Your brain.
Whoa.
Your thoughts.
That's crazy. I didn't think about it like that.
There's no physical thing that's harming us right now. So if your cortisol is increased, the only negative thing left is your brain.
That's crazy.
And you're going to continuously think about that. So
that's so self-sabotaging.
Yeah. So it creates a constant cycle of negative thoughts being piled on and circled around in your brain, which is, my opinion, and like Libo has had a revelation, it's so prevalent in today's society, especially because everyone's cortisol and stress and anxiety are so high because you're constantly being fed information from the internet. everyone's always telling you, oh, the living situation is horrible. I know from my experience and from like my friends' experience, people have 3 jobs and they're still not able to pay. Go back 60 years, if someone had 3 jobs, they'd probably be like way better
Girl,
off.
they'd be Elon Musk.
Yeah, you needed 1 job to sustain a family.
$5 got you a house, a wife, kids.
Yeah, literally. Like, so because life now is just so insanely stressful and there's no technically like physical genuine threat in your environment, it's so easy to consistently get stuck in this loop of like, okay, now my negative thinking and I'm in negative thinking, because cortisol inherently means like you are wired to think about negative things. I like to think about it as like a whirlpool effect, where it just starts off with like this slow circle and then you just get stuck in this whirlpool. And how do you get out? From the sociological perspective, there is discomfort from pulling away from societal norms. Like Liba said, these students felt very uncomfortable with not being able to
participate in society.
Yeah. And the student feeling like everyone was performing and it was really weird ties back to your psychological concept and the scientific understanding. You don't want to look weird to people, because people are the reason why you have a house, and people are the reason why you know.
We're more interconnected than we like to think sometimes.
That's okay. It just shouldn't
negatively affect you to the point that it is negatively affecting all of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Part 3. How do we let go?
Ain't that the question?
So how do we let go of that?
This is the whole thing. Like, how do we let go? And I wanted to bring up, I was scrolling on TikTok. I was scrolling on a little TikTok, okay? And I came across this video by the creator Jalen_K. Shout out you. Have no idea who you are. But he was talking about how it is so important for us to have the art of resetting. And I'll explain what that means. You need to learn how to very quickly reset your mood. If you have a bad workout, just go again tomorrow. Awkward conversation, immediately move on. Like, you can't let these quote unquote small things control the narrative in your brain and control your life. Me personally, if I have an awkward conversation, oh my God, I'm thinking about that for the next 10 years.
Yep.
Anyone else? Right?
Yeah.
I make one mistake. Oh my gosh. I remember the first mistake I ever made at my current job.
Really?
It wasn't even anything major at all.
It really wasn't. I can attest to that.
It was not. But the thing is, I am just so incredibly hard on myself that like this one small mistake where if I immediately reset, you know, like corrective action and like, you know, like this is how I'm going to improve, it could have been fine. Life gets better when you stop giving these little bad things more time than they deserve. The faster you reset, the faster you adapt, the faster you grow. And that is a direct quote from my boy Jalen_K.
It really is like, be happy for tomorrow. If today sucked, tomorrow will be better. And if it's not, someday will be better.
Yeah.
And oh my God, this actually really just goes into my point, which is, look at all the things that have happened in your life up until now that you used to be so anxious about.
That's so true.
Oh my God, how am I gonna get a job? I have a job, Liba has a job, alhamdulillah, like everything.
Thank God.
And we're still looking for other things, but it's the things that you're so anxious about. Again, you cannot have any faith, or you could follow a specific religion, whatever. It doesn't matter, because the human experience is that there are things that you're so anxious about and you're fine now. And to bring it back to Islam, there's a lot of things where it's like, how could you think that your prayers aren't being answered because you're living in a answered prayer right now?
That's so true.
You know,
there's so many things.
From a non-Islamic perspective, how could you think that things won't work out for you when something that you begged for beforehand has been worked out for you now?
Yeah.
You know? So let it go that things aren't going to work out because you are not focusing. Again, you're focusing on the negative things. There should be a shift towards a positivity bias where it's like, there are no physical, I can't attest for everyone. Obviously, there are people that have to live with, unfortunately, really negative things in their environment that are physical threats to them.
I'm sorry to that person listening.
I'm sorry to anybody that's listening to that. It sucks. Like, I can't even imagine, you know? Yeah. But there is such a beauty in the positivity bias and developing the positivity bias where personal experience, like, I know and I'm at peace with my future because I know everything will be okay. Yeah, I know it will be fine because I'm living right now in a place where, like, I didn't think I'd have that 3 years ago. And right now, the things that I'm worrying about 3 years from now, I'm going to be like, why was I even worrying about that?
So insignificant.
It was so insignificant, but it feels like your entire world.
Yeah.
So my favorite quote and strongest belief in the entire world, and if this helps anybody, and I quote this all the time, everything always works out in the end.
Period.
Yeah. And I love this quote so much. I think it applies to everybody. It really is just like, how do you let go? Everything works out in the end.
Yeah.
Everything that you've been worried about, the things that you've been wanting, the things that you were like anxious about, you don't have to know how you're going to get there, but you're going to get there somehow.
Exactly.
Because,
But yeah, I agree. And I also wanted to go back to your source about older people experiencing positive vibes. Did the article say why that older people experience positive? Is it because like they're at the end, like nothing matters anymore, and like?
So the article didn't talk about it, but it is something that I learned through my education and stuff. So from what I remember, and I can attest for, it is partly because it ties into sociology as well. It ties into the fact that they don't have, you're retired, you're about to die,
you're about to kick the bucket,
you're about to croak. Like there's a lot of things at that point in your life, the social norms that haunted you your entire life. Think about the things that everybody stresses about. When am I going to get married? When am I going to get a job? How am I going to get a house? You know, when you're at that age, those aren't things that you're looking towards. The only thing that you're looking towards is death.
Oh yeah. Whoa.
So the reason why you naturally, and it's like a whole thing, it's like statistically proven, you naturally develop a positivity bias is because you have, ties into sociology, you have nothing culturally, societally to look forward to worry about.
You're also kind of removed from society. Like I feel like old people, they're a completely different.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they are, but not even like in an unfortunate way. Where like right now, I am a daughter. I was a student. I am a sister. I am this. I am that. I have so many identities that make up who I am. Old people, they're kind of removed from like they're not someone's employee. Yeah. They're not someone's boss. They're just kind of,
you can be a grandparent, but like unfortunately, like if your wife dies, then you're not a husband anymore. You know? And those are things that you would still struggle with, but I mean in a general sense, they don't care anymore.
They don't have that expectation.
There's nothing to care about. Yeah, it really is. So like there's a very big blessing in learning to understand the positivity bias and learning to take that in. And it doesn't just have to be old people. I've developed it, and we have a lot of friends that used to be so negative, and now they've developed it, and you can see how much more peace they are at.
I completely agree with that. And also going back to what you were saying about your favorite quote, I love that quote. And I also wanted to say that, like, you said everything always works out in the end. We have and this goes back to, like, us not knowing the answer to everything, us having such limited beliefs. Sometimes things won't work out in the way you expect. Yeah. And sometimes you want something so bad. I've experienced this. I've wanted something to work out so bad. And then you realize years later, oh my God, I would have been miserable. I would have been so sad if that happened to me.
Oh my God, I don't remember what it's called. It's also called bias something. Yeah. I don't remember what it's called. This is a social psychology term.
Confirmation bias.
ChatGPT is gonna come through with this. 1 second, everyone. 1 second.
Well, 1 second. Take a quick break.
Okay. So I was in my social psychology class 3 years ago, and I remember this term so strongly, and I think about it all the time, where you were saying that what I mean by the quote, everything always works out in the end, is that you are end of the day happy, like with things that you thought that you wanted but you didn't get, but then you got it and you're like, wait, this was way better case scenario. There's a term in social psychology called affective forecasting.
I've heard of this.
Yeah. What it means is your prediction of how you'll feel in the future. So there was a study, and I don't remember the logistics of it. I really just remember like the overarching theme of the study. There was a study where they were asking incoming students, pick which place you want to live for your dorm room, right? Okay. They chose like their 1, 2, 3 pick, and they were asked before they were going to come, like, how will you feel if you got your third choice, right? How will you feel if you got your third choice? How will you feel if you got your first choice? How will you feel if you got your second choice? And your third choice was like, you don't want that one at all, but you have to put it on there. Oh, yeah. It's like, you know? So obviously the students were like, if I get my third choice, it's going to ruin my entire first year. It's going to ruin my entire first year.
It'll ruin the tour.
Yeah, it's going to ruin my entire first year. I'm going to hate it. Like, I don't want my third choice, right? Yeah. So then the students got their rooms and whatever, and like some people got their first choice, some people got their third choice. It happens. Yeah. they asked those students again a year later, where they're like, this is what you said before. How do you feel about it now? All the students that got their third choice that a year prior were like, I'm gonna hate my life. Yeah. I'm gonna hate it. We're like, yeah, it's fine. Yeah. I'm glad I got my third choice. Yeah. You know? So it's affective forecasting is your brain's bias, or not bias, your brain's, it doesn't have the ability to properly predict how you'll feel in the future. Yeah. It kind of confirmed our hypothesis for affective forecasting, where you predict, there's always an error in how you predict how you'll feel in the future. Oh, wow. For example, another study was where people were asked, like, who's your favorite band? You know, like, who's your favorite band? And, like, how much money are you willing to spend on this band? Like, if they were to come and tour, like, right now, you know? Yeah. And $1 million. Yeah, $1 million. And then they were asked, like, I believe it was, like, a few years later, it was kind of the thing where it's, like, you were, like, oh, my God, like, I would spend, like, $1,000 on a ticket. But then years later, because you lose that interest or whatever, you're like, I don't really like the novelty's worn off. Yeah, the novelty's worn off or whatever. Spotify exists. When you said that, because I think about affective forecasting all the time, like there is a mismatch between how you predict how you'll feel in the future, and then you actually get to that point in the future, and you're like, oh, it's fine. Things are so different. I was fine, and that's why you have to let things go. You have to let those things that you think you wanted so bad but didn't end up happening, like you can't think about what could have been, you know. And that is just so, like, I cannot tell you the amount of jobs that I've applied for where I'm like, oh my gosh, I would be so perfect for this company and this would like fulfill me in every sense of the word, and then I don't get it. And that, it's like, recently just happened to me. Really? I got the rejection email and I was like, maybe I just wasn't meant to be in. You have to just let it go. Yeah. That's just like, trust me, I know the amount of things I've thought I've wanted, but they don't happen, and you have to accept the reality for what it is, and you can't just ruin your life by thinking, what if this happened, what if whatever. I wanted to add, it's also called impact bias, which is the tendency to overestimate how intensely and for how long future events will affect our happiness or well-being. Your brain can adapt. It's okay. Like, it is meant to adapt. Like, it goes back to your brain takes things from its environment to learn how to connect its neurons together and like reform. That's why when you're breaking a habit, it hurts so bad and your brain hates it, because your neurons are like physically disconnecting. In a way, they're physically disconnecting. So like those connections that your brain has made and are so interwoven and interconnected, when you're trying to break a habit, when you're trying to break negative thoughts, it's not easy by any means. Absolutely not. To go from negativity bias to positivity bias, because you're genuinely restructuring your entire brain system and how it works. And you're putting yourself in a vulnerable position, which none of us want to do. Yeah, none of us want to do. Your brain does not like to be vulnerable. Yeah, it's okay if it takes you time. It took me 15 years? Yeah, right? It took me so long. But be okay with discomfort, because comfort is killing you. Oh, yeah. This is the thing. Your brain loves comfort, but it kills you. It really does. Yeah. If nothing changes, nothing changes. Like, discomfort helps you grow. This is so funny. What? It's a quote from Kung Fu Panda. Yes! Where, I believe it's Kung Fu Panda 3. Where Master Noodles. Shifu... No, I love that one. But no. Master Shifu, he tells Do the voice. He's like, if you only do what you can do, you will never be more than you are now. Wow. I know, right? That's Kung Fu Panda has banger quotes. Dude, I love banger quotes. We did an episode on Kung Fu Panda. Genuinely. I love that. Kung Fu Panda and why it's actually the best trilogy ever. Oh my gosh, right? Yeah. Oh man, that's so deep. If you only do what you can do, you'll never be more than you are now. If you stay in your mind and you stay in this like never, you're never going to adapt. Yeah, you are never going to, because you're not letting yourself. Yes. And to do that, you have to be uncomfortable. You have to face people and be like, why did you do this to me? Yeah, I don't like it. And if they don't change, that's on them, and that's their life going in a negative direction. You regroup, let it go, and move on. And there is a sense of like the IDGF mentality where like you have to just stop caring, because if it's affecting your life, you have goals, you have aspirations, you have things you want to complete in your life. That person doing you wrong isn't going to affect that, because let it go. You can't get in your own way. Part 4, practice letting it go. Preach. Disclaimer, we are not professionals. I know we sound like it, but I know I sound like a PhD candidate. And I know I'm like twisting my mustache and tightening my tie. I am twisting my mustache.
But disclaimer, we are not professionals. Please do your own research and talk to a professional if you are actually struggling. This is just advice based on our personal experiences and the context and contrast of our own lives and understanding of our relative fields. Also our own lives.
So if it can help you, or if it can help you understand that maybe you would like to see someone professional,
yeah,
that's our goal.
That's our goal.
Okay, Liba, take it away.
Okay, so I think something that is really important to do is, first of all, identify what you are holding on to. You have to face the things head on.
Discomfort.
I am such an avoidant person.
Me too.
Yeah, especially when it comes to emotions. I don't want to think about why I feel bad. I just want to feel better.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to go back in and you have to identify what is hurting you so you can put it away. And I think of this example a lot where like you have this trash can and it's overflowing with paper and there are crumpled up papers and that's like your well-being and that's your brain and that's your life. You can take out the piece of paper, each piece of paper, you can take it out, fold it up neatly and put it back. And you can do that with all the pieces of paper and you're going to have a lot more room and you're going to have a lot more bandwidth for more, because the pieces of paper, the trash is never going to stop.
Yeah.
The more it's crumpled up and the more avoidant that it is, you're not going to have any more bandwidth in your life to receive anything.
It's taking up more space.
You have to go back and you have to dissect things.
I've never heard of that before.
Oh, really? I just therapized you. Oh my gosh. Yeah, you have to identify what you're holding on to and you have to feel it. That's step one. And I also think when you're thinking about these things, you have to separate any negative connotations and beliefs about yourself towards it.
And I think being sad is so healthy for you in a sense. When you are meant to be sad, if you let yourself be sad, it is so healthy for you. Holding on to things and like pretending like everything is okay actually does way more damage to your brain than you think.
It's crazy.
So damaging. And not only that, I remember, for example, I love yoga, I love stretching, but I know that yoga has a very deep connection with, and this is scientific, things that you suppress.
Trauma-informed yoga,
things that you suppress shows up in your body.
Yeah.
Which a lot of people who are like, I'm not stressed, but they have back pain. It's like, well, why do you think you have back pain?
Yeah.
It's like your trauma's there. Which, and at a first glance sounds so weird, like why is my brain trauma in my back?
Yeah.
But again, it's all connected. So when people do trauma-informed yoga, you're in a position that's releasing the tension from your muscles for so long. If you don't think about it, it's going somewhere else.
It is. It's manifesting.
You're not suppressing it. Like it's gonna go somewhere else. You're gonna have muscle pain. You're gonna have this. If it's not emotionally, it's physically. And so
you'll have the brain fog. You'll have the posture problems.
You'll have the posture problem. You'll have the brain fog. You'll have the memory.
You'll have
issues, anger issues, memory issues,
and you'll have bad beliefs about the world.
Yeah, you can be eating as clean as you want and working out as much as you want. But if you're not letting yourself feel sad when you genuinely feel sad and you're like, I'm not sad.
Yeah, we ball. Yeah. Hello?
Let yourself cry. Let yourself be angry. Don't take it out on other people.
Yeah, wait.
Don't take it out on other people.
This is not your sign to go to the person that hurt you.
This is not your sign that we told you to go and punch someone.
Yeah.
Okay? Like, let yourself be angry in the sense you have like good coping mechanisms. Go for a walk. There is a very, very, very strong link with being outside and getting fresh air and your mental health being better.
I went on a walk yesterday, man. Oh my gosh.
I'm telling you. Yeah.
It was amazing. And I didn't realize that plants have such a fragrant smell.
Yeah.
I was outside sniffing plants.
And like, it's so interesting with plants too, but like when you talk negatively to plants, they don't grow properly. You talk negatively to water and the molecular structure of water is different than water you talk to.
That's crazy.
In a good way. So if even nature doesn't take negativity well, why do you think that you're taking it well?
We are the most natural things.
Yeah, we are part of nature.
Yeah.
You know?
That's so true. Oh my goodness.
So I wanted you to add your last point, which is...
So don't think about what could have been the outcome, accept the reality for what it is. And I think that is just so important. And we talked about this where it's like, if only I got the job, if only I got the guy, if only I did this, that, and the third. That's actually ruining your life. And I feel like your thoughts can make you, this is gonna sound so stupid, but like your thoughts make you sadder than what your reality is.
Yeah, they do.
Right? Like your reality, you can like look around and not see all the blessings in your life because you're like, this person cut me off. Yeah. And this is also, I wanted to say this. This is like, not to say that not being over something is wrong. If you are genuinely traumatized by something, or if you're not over something yet, that's not like wrong. It's only wrong and it's only a problem, quote unquote, when you push aside your own feeling and growth to ruminate. I just wanted to say that because I don't want this to come across as like we're high and mighty and we're blaming you for like not being over that.
And it's only wrong when it's continuously hurting you and when you're not making the effort to be better. Things bad can happen to you because they happen to everyone.
Yeah.
But there should be a drive to wanting to be better, or even like the open-mindedness that I would like to be.
You have to be receptive.
And to say, based on Liba's point, is like there's no timeline to when you can get over it. If it's been like 10 years and you're not over it, that's fine. Yeah. Because it takes time. If it's been a year, if it's been 5 minutes, there's no timeline to when you have to let things go. Yeah. But it's the mentality of 100%. It's the mentality of I want to let this go. Yeah. That's going to get you to that place.
You have to be so receptive to good things that happen to you because there's so many good things that happen. And it was funny because as I was saying this, I was thinking of the Michael Jackson movie of when
it is so good.
I bought the movie on Prime. I've never bought a movie on Prime before. I watch it to go to sleep.
Good.
It's so good. I was just remembering the scene of when Michael's in the pool and he's like, I'm channeling. If I'm not here to receive these ideas, God might give them to Prince.
I love that quote.
I love it. And that is just what I was thinking about.
I kind of really take that because I really do think ideas do flow through you. If you're having a thought and you cannot get rid of it, or like if not a thought about something that has happened to you, something that you want and you can't get rid of it, I don't know how relevant this is, but if it can help someone, maybe I'll add it in. But
of course,
if there is something that you really, really, really want in your life and you keep thinking about it, maybe it's meant for you. Maybe it's like a sign that it is meant for you. And it goes back to that quote from Michael where he's like, God might give it to Prince. Like, I believe that Michael believed that ideas flowed through him and that he wasn't like the final destination or whatever. Or like, if he didn't grasp it, then someone else might take it.
Like, it was an idea like that was just out there and he could take it.
He could take it. Your brain loves to play tricks on you, girl, and it's playing tricks on you right now.
It loves to manipulate and it loves to make you feel bad.
So, your point about don't think about what could have been the outcome, accept the reality for what it is, ties into my advice, which is I went through, as somebody who has gone through the journey and is still going through the journey, but I feel like I've made a lot of progress. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah, thank God.
There's a lot of personal reflection that goes into it. So I think there's a lot of thing about the fear of, am I a bad person? Think about that for a second. Like, let's say someone did you wrong, right? This thing that happened to me, is it something pushing me to change my character, or was I actually wrong? Like, am I actually in the wrong for this? Think about the situation, like you said, like take a step back and think about the situation as it is. You know, if somebody cut me off, is it because I cursed their family? Like, is it because I cursed their family, or because I was a genuine good person
and it didn't work out?
And it just didn't work out, or they don't have it in them to be a friend.
Yeah.
You know? So a part of it is really, it kind of goes hand in hand with other elements of self-help and self-growth, which a part of it is really knowing and understanding who you are as a person and your intention. Your intention, Liba and I talk about this a lot, where it's like your intention is with things and your actions are so, so, so important.
Yeah.
Islamically, religion-wise,
more than your thoughts.
Even in Christianity, your intention with things is so prevalent.
It's so important.
I can't speak to other religions because I'm not entirely sure, but for Islamic Christianity, I know as a fact that intentions are a really big thing. So if you take a step back and you're like, okay, why can I not let this go? Does this hurt because I did something wrong?
Yeah.
Or does this hurt because that person did something wrong? Like, look at it that way.
Yeah.
If you know that your intentions are pure, then you can let it go in the sense where it's like, it wasn't me, you know?
Yeah.
But if it comes to your realizing, and it is uncomfortable, again, you hate being uncomfortable. If it comes to you realizing that maybe I need to change something about my character because I hurt that person, it is having that conversation with that person where it's like, why did you cut me off? You know, like being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Why did you cut me off? If it is having to do with something changing your character, work towards changing that thing about yourself because it's hurting other people, and everything that's coming out of this is like betterment for you. You know, so letting go in that sense, like even if you did something wrong, let it go that you didn't know that character trait of yours would hurt someone else.
You didn't think it would be harmful.
Somebody showed you that it would be harmful. let it go. You're a person.
Yeah.
You learn from your bad mistakes, and it has everything to do with your mentality and your character. Now you're a better person. You don't know if maybe you'll be friends with that person again. I don't know.
Just corrective action and move on.
Corrective action, exactly. Just take it as it is. Move on.
I wanted to touch on that because it also could have been no one's fault. That's actually
true. Yes.
There is a secret third option there where it's not my fault, not their fault. We just weren't aligned in that sense. And
that's fine too.
I always think about like someone could be giving you 100%, but it's just not enough for you. That could be their 100%. That could be their version of whatever that is. It can still just not be enough for you, and that can be okay. That could be okay on your part and on their part.
Yeah.
And you guys are not aligned, and it doesn't make sense for you to be aligned with every single person.
Yeah.
There's gonna be that mismatch, and it's okay.
So I touched on this before, but my 2 points I'm reading it now, and my 2 points are kind of hand in hand, where it's developing the IDGAF mentality. I can't spell it out for you, but if you know, you know.
Yeah.
And letting people do what they want. A little bit of being blunt.
Again, I hate being blunt.
Yeah. Look at your goals and aspirations. Is this person leaving going to hinder your success? No. Most likely no. That person made their choice in their life. You had good intentions. Sometimes your relationships don't work out, like Lipa said. They were just meant to be there for that period of time, and that's okay. You can have enjoyed that period of
you
time.
can like look back and think fondly about that person, about that time you spent together, and still understand that the person was not the best for you.
Yeah. Nothing in this life is permanent, not even your own life.
Damn.
Everybody's going to die. Doesn't matter what you believe in, you know you're going to die, okay?
Yeah. That's the one thing that's certain.
That's the one thing that's certain. Take things as they are, like Liva said, take it as reality, and keep your intentions pure always, because your character is something you are going to carry with you until after you die, because it's the thing that people talk about. People don't talk about
what you look like,
what you
had,
your achievements. They talk about, Liba,
how they made you feel.
Yeah, Liba gave me her last $5 when I was genuinely,
and I saved them from a fire.
She did, she actually saved me from a fire.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that you have to let people walk over you. You learn how to set boundaries and stand up for yourself. You have to maintain being a good person, because that is who you are. That is how the universe will give you good things. And then that goes hand in hand with developing the IDGF mentality, and it ties into your article that you were saying, where it's like when you remove yourself from society, it's uncomfortable, but you at some point you just get tired of other people's actions, and you're just like, I have things that I want to accomplish, and if you don't want to be there for that, that's fine. And it's looking at the overarching theme and just like everything that's happening, so that's my little 2 cents. I did also have scientific background.
We love scientific background here.
And so there was an article posted by Cognitive Behavioral Therapy of Los Angeles called How to Stop Ruminating.
Wow.
And cognitive behavioral therapy, I want to define it first, is a type of therapy practice that works for a lot of people. It doesn't work for everyone, but it works for a lot of people.
Love CBT.
Specifically with depression. And its main focus is on changing the cognition to influence our behavior. So in very simple terms, it focuses on rewiring how you see the world. So focusing on changing your biases and how you think about the world to then influence your behavior. So again, cognitive behavioral therapy. So the underlining message of it is our minds drive our behavior, and they do.
Yep.
The points that they had set out were, and I'm going to say them first and then we can talk about them: journaling, distracting yourself, be mindful, make a plan, consider new perspectives, know your triggers, and then the piece de resistance, see a therapist.
See a therapist, guys.
I can attest to journaling. I started journaling a few years ago, and it really is
so
just
good.
Like, it's so good. And at first I was like, this is stupid. Like, I don't want to do this. Like, this is like so stupid. And then you read your old entries, and it really is going back to like the affective forecasting and impact bias.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
You read your old entries, and I'm like, why was I so afraid of that?
I know. Why was I so stressed?
I was so stressed. Like, look at me now, I'm fine.
I know. Oh, it's also nice to like appreciate your milestones. I think that's really important.
That's the biggest thing.
We do not appreciate the milestones. We were just like, I feel like we're so quick to be like, of course that worked out. Like now the next thing we need to worry about. But it's like, no, you need to go back, and that's why I love journaling. You can go back into your journals and be like, wow, like this is amazing because I actually overcame this, and I actually everything worked out so much better. So definitely count your wins.
Yeah. The distract yourself element is more so from the ruminating aspect, where you can get like trapped in like the sense of you're sitting in your room and you're like, oh my god, everything. connect with friends and engage in activities and find hobbies that you like. You know, those things are actually shown to be so much more beneficial to your life.
Yeah.
And
engage in things that make you happy.
Yeah. Do that. And then be mindful. Again, like we've been saying, be mindful of your actions, your intentions.
Be aware of, hey, maybe I've had this back pain for like 10 years
because something happened.
Yeah, like maybe let me try doing I tried trauma-informed yoga one time. Let me tell you. You remember this? Yeah. There's something about trauma being stored in your hips.
Yeah.
Oh my!
For women, it's a big
for
thing,
women.
Yeah.
That pigeon pose, let me tell you.
Pigeon pose.
Shout out pigeon pose.
Shout out pigeon pose.
Shout out pigeon pose at one time. that was crazy.
Yeah. So make a plan. Consider new perspectives. Know what triggers you, and stay away from it or accept it for what it is. And you know, and if therapy is a really big topic where not a lot of people have access to it, unfortunately,
it's not always accessible.
It's not accessible. So that's why I think community is a huge thing.
Yes.
My point is if you are able to try it out.
Yeah, there's free trials.
Yeah, there's free trials. Cognitive behavioral therapy specifically doesn't work for everyone. And not every therapist is a fit for everyone. So it is a lot of trial and error. It's going to be uncomfortable at first. Again, just stop being afraid of being uncomfortable. Okay? Yeah. It's ruining your life.
I know. Trust me, I have spent years of my life being so afraid of being uncomfortable. That in and of itself makes you uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I always think about this quote. I'm not sure how closely it relates, but like when you worry about something, you're putting yourself through it twice.
Whoa.
Like that is what I always think about. That's what I always tell myself because I'm such a chronic worrier. I'm always just like, what if. But like if you're going to do the thing that's making you uncomfortable, and also don't discount the fact that like doing whatever you're doing, it will make you uncomfortable. Don't be like, it won't be uncomfortable because I'm doing it. It probably will make you uncomfortable. That's okay. The more you think about it, you're just putting yourself through it over and over and over again.
That's a big thing.
I know. Mic drop.
Yeah. And here.
Yeah.
Learning to emphasize community and leaning on the people around you is also really helpful. And like at the end of the day, just don't keep it in. You shouldn't have to keep it in because you're so young, you know?
Yeah.
And
it helps to talk about things.
Yeah. You don't know who's there for you if you're not willing to reach out. You know? And if someone's not there for you, screw them.
I very much encourage everyone listening to find your people.
Yeah.
I think now, thank God, we're at an age where like I have so many weird niche interests and you have so many weird niche interests, and like there are people out there that like will want to talk about these things and they will want to relate to you, and like if not in person, there's like communities online, you know, like you can really just like find your people.
Yeah, and social media is good in that element where you can find people you can like fangirl with stuff about or like and all those things. So I won't discount social media for that, but it is a really great place.
The one thing that's good for.
The one thing that is good connecting for is ironically community.
Ironically,
it is. I think we have strayed so far from the path of what social media was meant to be, which can be another episode.
We've strayed from God's light.
Yeah. It has nothing to do with letting go, but it
kind of does, because it's like how you let go by introducing new positive things. So that's the end of this episode. We really hope that this resonated with you guys,
that the things that we talked about were helpful and maybe people could relate to it, or if it happened to align with something that's happening in your life right now, maybe take it as a sign that, you know, like everything will be okay. I can promise you everything will be okay. I say this to everybody,
like, let me hold your hand when I say this,
and they hate me for it, and then like they come back like a few years and then you're like, oh yeah, you're right.
It's so annoying to be like, give it time and give yourself grace, because like
no one wants to hear that when you're like actively
in the depths
of the trenches
literally,
and somebody's being like, well, there's sunshine and rainbows somewhere in the world,
like you just want to be like, get out of it, literally, shut up, mom. That's an audio. I'm not saying shut up to my mom.
Sorry, that's a Key and Peele audio.
We hope that, like, you know, all of the things that we talked about, it resonated with you. If you agree in the fact that, like, the culture we live in is it makes us overthink about a lot of things, and, like, the biology and our neurons are just, like, taught to overthink. Like, you're not alone in that.
Yeah. The things that I would like for anybody to take away from this episode are, 1, everything happens for a reason, and everything works out in the end, as in you will be happy and you will be fine.
Even if the thing that you wanted isn't happening.
Yeah. 2, be okay with being uncomfortable, because comfort is killing you.
Yep.
Be okay with the uncomfortable, because that is how you let go.
Yes.
And for our final point,
let it go.
Let it go.
Yo, we got Elsa in the stew. But if you were looking for a sign to let go of something, someone, something that is just like not serving you anymore, let this be your sign. It's okay, and you can let go, and you'll be fine.
Let it go.
Let it go. Can't hold it back anymore.
Yeah.
Turn away and slam the door.
And shut up, Mom. This has nothing to relate to letting things go. In fact, adding things on.
Yeah.
If they wanted to find our social media.
If they wanted to find us elsewhere, where could they look?
Yeah.
What do you think? You can find us on Instagram. You can find us on TikTok. Our handle is the.realitycheck.podcast. And we very recently made a Twitter. Let's go. An X. Ugh, disgusting. The handle is at realitycheck with 3 A's in reality. We hope you enjoyed this episode. We loved doing it.
This was really fun, actually.
It's just, I feel like the more we do it, the more it's easier to like, talk.
Yeah. See you in the next one.
All right, y'all. See you on the flip side.
Bye.
Bye.